Well, we are live. This is happening, Ashley.
It is happening.
First ever Partner Power Hour is happening. We should be live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on LinkedIn. So we should be good to go. I'm excited. Ashley, thank you for being the brave first one to do a Partner Power Hour.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm so excited about this.
Okay, so welcome everyone to our very first Partner Power Hour. If you're a service-based business, a business owner, a freelancer, a solopreneur, and you're looking to make LinkedIn work for your business, then you are in the right place. We want to talk to you. We want to have you here. This is what this is all about. This is our first live Partner Power Hour. So please bear with us as we figure out all of the tech and do all the things and make sure that everything's working correctly, because that's a whole nother aspect to it. I have music going. Ashley, this is fancy. Like I have music going in the background.
I'm digging it.
As people chime in and climb into the different chats or the different spaces. So I wanted to make it a little bit festive as people are coming in. So if your personal and business LinkedIn profiles don't feel connected, you're in the right spot. If you're transitioning from freelancer to a more established business owner, then you're in the right spot. And if you feel like LinkedIn is a little overwhelming and you're unsure of where to start, Ashley and I are going to guide you on your path to get your LinkedIn profiles up and running and making you look very polished today. We're super excited to have you here. I do have a little bit of a poll that I put together. So if you are joining us, we would love for you to share what's your LinkedIn goal. If it's to boost visibility, to build partnerships, establish thought leadership, and if it's all of the above, put all. So 1, 2, or 3, put all in the chat. That would be amazing for us to kind of see. Let us know in the comments. Okay, I'm not even sure. Michelle, Michelle's the super duper behind the scenes assistant. Michelle, are you able to hear us on the other channels? Can you do a quick check for us? She says yes.
Amazing.
Yay. Okay, so let's get started. So this Power Hour, before we really jump into the LinkedIn topic, I wanted to tell you a little bit about this new series that we're putting together, which is called the Partner Power Hour. This idea really started from the podcast. Ashley kind of reached out and said, hey, I want to be a guest on the podcast. And as we talked, I just realized that since we're both in the marketing space, that I felt like we needed to create something new and maybe even more dynamic than just a podcast interview. So we kind of like chatted back and forth, and we kind of came up with a live streaming. And we thought we could just share some strategies and connect with the audience and grow together by sharing our expertise and just kind of having a chat about the topic, which if you know marketing people, we're kind of nerds and we like to nerd out on this stuff. So hopefully we don't nerd out too much, Ashley.
But never a bad thing.
Right? I feel like it's always a good thing, right? We have different perspectives, different stories, and that might actually spur some more ideas for our viewers in this process.
Totally.
So that's really how the Partner Power Hour began. And Ashley, being the brave and brilliant marketer that she is, she's the first to say, yes, let's do it. So today we're kicking it off with LinkedIn, which has been a platform we're both really passionate about because of its transformative potential for businesses like yours.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to start with a little bit of an introduction to me, and then I'll pass it over to Ashley. So I am Beverly. I am a growth visionary and a brand catalyst, often affectionately known by my clients as a Fairy Godmother. I actually legitimately have a wand, so I feel like that's a very
you fit the role,
right? And we help bold, purpose-driven, service-based solopreneurs. My passion is really guiding them to awaken their brand magic, spark their unique opportunities, and magnify their impact. I did not always plan to be an entrepreneur. Ashley, I'm not sure what your story is, but that was not, in fact, like I was not ever wanting to be an entrepreneur. I spent over a decade working in the corporate world, Fortune 500 companies, tech startups, small businesses, and helped them grow. And my career was exciting. I had tons of challenges. I learned so many invaluable lessons about strategy, branding, and growth. But my journey, as it often does when love comes into the air, it took an unexpected twist. I married my husband, who is an active duty soldier in the U.S. Army. And the Army determines where we live and when we moved and how we built our life. So my corporate career, which thrived in one place in Michigan, suddenly needed to be as mobile as the missions that he was on. So I had to create something that moved with me. So at first, I was a freelancer, just like many of you. And it was all about survival, finding the best way to work from wherever the Army sent us. And I actually found some unexpected success, which turned from like survival mode, like just like figuring it all out, making all the mistakes, to a full-fledged branding and digital marketing agency. But I think my business took a very interesting, because I wasn't a planned entrepreneur. I didn't really have a plan. So from the outside, everything looked great. Clients were coming in, projects were getting done, and my business was growing. But inside, I felt like I was sleepwalking through my success. I was stressed. I was scattered. I was stretched way too thin. I was saying yes to everything, and I was pouring my soul and energy into what felt like a never-ending grind. Something changed, though. A little over a year ago, I lost 2 or 3 key clients unexpectedly, all at once. And at first, I was devastated, and I felt stung and all those things, and I felt like a failure. I even considered closing the doors to my agency. But that pause gave me something really invaluable, some time to reflect on what really mattered. And what I realized was I wasn't just a marketer. I'm someone who can see the magic in others before they see it themselves. That's really my calling. So one of the most powerful tools I have used to help uncover that magic for myself and for my clients is LinkedIn. It's helped me spark partnerships, amplify voices, and position brands as leaders. And today, we're going to try to go through and unlock some of that LinkedIn magic together. So with that, Ashley, take a minute, introduce yourself. I know you're the founder of Dash of Social, and you help businesses grow authentically through social media, but share a little bit about your story and how you got here and why LinkedIn matters to you.
Of course. First, Beverly, I love your story, and I'm so, again, appreciative of you having me on this live show. But as you mentioned, I am the founder of Dash of Social, which I started back in 2016. So kind of funny, opposite of you, I had always known I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but
I'm envious.
I never knew what it would be until probably about 2015 or so. So in addition to always wanting to own a business, I've always had a passion for reading and writing. And so it kind of came naturally to me to use that passion of reading and writing to start a blog in 2012. And I was spending probably 10 or 15 hours at least per week on this blog, writing content, being able to connect with other bloggers, and really trying to think about ways to grow it. But I had this kind of epiphany where I realized that I was spending all this time on it just to find out that really only my family was reading my content. And so I said to myself, what can I do to, one, actually reach the right audience, which at the time was college and high school aged girls. And 2, how can I get something out of this? If I'm going to be constantly devoting all these hours to it, how can I monetize it? And that's when I realized that social media was the answer to achieving both of those goals at once. And so at this point, Instagram was brand new. It was probably only 1 or 2 years old. So there was a huge opportunity to capitalize on that. But I taught myself how to use social media from a business standpoint and was able to become a micro influencer through my blog and have really cool paid partnerships and attend press events and just really be able to support small businesses through the content I was creating. And as I started working with these companies, I realized that they barely had a social media presence, if any presence at all. And it made me realize that it was a huge missed opportunity for them, because I saw what being able to focus on social media did for my brand, and they were totally missing out by not doing the same for theirs. And so I had started to get an interest in marketing just from what I was doing myself, and I wanted to learn more about it and also support these companies that had supported me. So I offered the companies I had partnerships with some pro bono services to help them out, but then also kind of dip my toes in the water a bit. And the further I got into it, the more I realized how much I truly loved marketing. So from there, through the connections that I built in the blogging world, I was able to kind of naturally pick up some freelancing gigs until I eventually started Dash of Social in 2016. When I started Dash of Social, I was actually a sophomore in college at the time, and I had always been of the mindset of, I'm not going the corporate route. I'm always going to work for myself. I don't see myself ever like having some type of boss besides myself. And so long story short, I hustled throughout those next 3 years until I graduated in 2019 so that I could take Dash of Social full time at the time of graduation. And so this is what I've really been doing ever since. And as you mentioned, we support small to medium sized businesses and tech startups with their content marketing. So social media, email marketing, blog content primarily is our sweet spot. And really our goal is to A, help companies become authority figures within their industry, but B, also bring time back into their day. Because as many people know, marketing is time consuming, but it's really important. And so being able to ensure that you have a solid online presence without needing so much of your own time to make that happen is crucial.
It is. And the time is the one thing you can't get back, and it's the one thing that's the most precious in all of this. And so many entrepreneurs are doing all the things, balancing they're juggling all the things, and marketing is a little complex, right? Algorithms are changing. There's so many tools. Actually, I'm a little bit older than you, a lot older than you. And I have seen it evolve so much from when I started out at an ad agency for Chrysler to now. I was always an early adopter of social. I love social. It's just gotten a lot more complicated since I've been doing this. So it's like its own language and it changes on the daily. So there might be even a new tool tomorrow, like it just happens. So there's trends and hashtags and all kinds of things to keep up with. And I am also a writer, so I love all the content goodness. It's like my favorite. I use Grammarly, which I'm sure you use as well. Like I average between 500 and 1,000,000 words a week. And I I never ever would have told you I was going to be a writer, but I'm certainly a writer. So yeah, it's funny how things happen. I think it's great that you hustled. Gosh, like I can't even imagine in college being that focused. So good for you to be already like ready to launch your own business, have it and ready to go full time. That's amazing. So kudos.
Thank you.
I really just want to thank you. I'm so excited that you're here as my first marketing partner in the live series. I should say, victim or participant. I'm not really sure how this is going to go. But before we dive into some of the LinkedIn goodness, I did want to share with you all that we will have a free download at the end. So just make sure you stay till the end and we'll have a QR code and a link for you for that download that kind of walks through every single one of these steps. So after you get kind of an overview from us, you'll want to download that and make sure you make all these things happen for yourself. So there's some tips and things on there as well. So be sure to download that later. Okay, so let's just do this. So why LinkedIn, Ashley? Why is LinkedIn so incredibly important in today's social media marketing landscape?
Yeah, so I feel like still today in 2024, there's almost like a stereotype or a stigma where people hear LinkedIn and they're like, oh, that's only for hiring, or oh, that's only if I'm looking for a job. But it's really evolved into so much more than that. Personally, I loved LinkedIn because I feel like it's a great tool to be able to connect with others in your industry and also connect with others in other industries who could potentially be clients for you. So I like to view LinkedIn as achieving two different goals. One, you can use it as a way to reach new clients, but two, you can also use it as a way to find referral partners. And so being able to find those people who might have a similar clientele as you, but offer complementary services or different services that what you offer, who can send clients to you and vice versa. You can send clients to them. And so being able to use a platform like LinkedIn is crucial for being able to therefore kind of nurture both of those audiences at once and be able to establish that thought leadership, credibility, and trust with those individuals.
Yeah, and I mean, I kind of like went through these slides really fast, but there's professional audience, right? There's the networking opportunities, and there's the visibility for your brand. And especially, I think if you're B2B, business to business, like LinkedIn is where it's at. I do
Yeah,
think there is some consumer side of it too. If you sell to um, higher level C-suite type people, then that might be a great target for you from a consumer base. But for sure, like Ashley, I could not agree more. I have been using LinkedIn since it started. And it's an amazing platform to meet people, stay connected to people professionally. It has essentially replaced the quote unquote Rolodex. I mean, that is like where you
yeah,
connect. That's where, and I follow people like religiously. There's newsletters I read from there. There's groups that I participate in. And actually, I think that's how we got connected, isn't it? Through LinkedIn, through the podcast. So I feel like the
exactly.
opportunities to grow your network and just connect with like-minded people as well as your target audience is just kind of limitless. You can be really targeted and do some, investigating and searches for your specific target and all kinds of things. Like there's just so many different ways you can use LinkedIn.
I agree.
It's a great way to get to be known in the space. It's our primary social media channel for sure. Is it
Mhm.
yours, Ashley? Is it your primary?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
would say it is too.
yeah. So let's start with the importance of building a LinkedIn presence. Like, if somebody's just starting out, what are the important things that we need to make sure that we do as far as the LinkedIn profile?
I would say first and foremost, you want to make sure that you have a professional, eye-catching profile photo because that's what people will see. Along with that, having any type of like cover photo behind that that just kind of goes deeper into who you are, what you do, and how you help. Kind of giving an overview of your work is incredibly important. Underneath your name, which is what people will see anytime you publish a post on LinkedIn or you comment a post on LinkedIn, you can have what's like a called a headline ultimately. And so, as you'll see here, I included something that was like a little bit more fun and a little bit more engaging than just the typical founder at Dash of Social. Instead of actually naming what my title is and what my company is, I used almost a one liner, ultimately, or I should say two liner here,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to describe who I am and what I do. So I like to get fun with it and wrote executing your company's marketing strategy so you don't have to. Because what I'm thinking of is I'm thinking of the problems that my clients are facing. And what that is that they just don't have the time or resources to manage their own marketing. So if they were to see that line, they might be like, I might want to connect with this Ashley person and see what she's all about. And then, of course, I shared in the second line that I'm a marketing strategist that specializes in social media, blogging, and email. And so I personally love kind of using that space right there, which almost I could say is like a mini about section with
Mm-hmm.
being able to just describe yourself and be able to show people right off the bat what it is that you do.
I love it. I think us marketers were kind of creative, so I would agree. Like I had something a little bit more fun as well. I have my fairy godmother thing in there. I love that you use emojis. I feel like that just connects in a different way.
Mhm.
And again, this idea of you want to make sure you have the logo plus the cover photo equals professional. Like you want to make sure that everything is consistent for your brand. Um, that's super important. You want to make sure your photos are warm and approachable. I've seen people that like they take a selfie and they're not even smiling. Like I'm not sure I'd want to do business with that person, but to me, I think warm, kind of showing your personality a little bit, that just makes you human, right? People want to do business with humans, not with like big logos. So
Yep.
do that. And then my cover photo, my pro tip here is I change it out on the regular and I
Love that.
whatever I want to feature for the month. So we just launched a magical marketing membership um, that helps people have like 52 actionable things over the year to get them that much closer to their ideal brand. That is something that we just launched. So we have that there that I'm featuring, but I've had my book there. I've had our courses there. So you can get kind of creative in rotating this as well, keeping it fresh. And then I keep my left side a little bit more open than you do. Actually, because on mobile, like it gets cut off and you can't see it and whatever. So, this was from desktop, so it's a little bit more blank on this side, but you want to make sure that you double check it once you update it, that it looks and aligns and all the things as well. So, um, super important as you update the information. But I would say have a little fun, be bold, don't be like everybody else because there are so many people on there. Have a little personality if you can, and then really, talk about your role, the audience that you serve, and the value that you provide. And that, like you said, like that one liner, that summary, that is huge. So
Yes, absolutely.
we're showing you both our profiles because it'll just give you better ideas of how different people use it. Some things we do the same and some things we do different. And I have seen people too. I love that you on yours, Ashley, that you use some authority on yours. I'm going to go back for a second at the top about like TEDx and some of that. I love that. Showcasing some authority on your cover photo is a great thing to do as well. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so the next thing is, let's see here. This is all about linking. Oh no, this is about building the business page. So now you have your personal page. You kind of snazz it up a little bit. We always say, and I'm sure you say the same thing, Ashley, make sure you go through every single section. Like LinkedIn kind of prompts you from section to section and fill out as much as you can. Chat GPT is awesome for this. Put in like your bullet points and then say, hey, write a LinkedIn about me section. That's less than 2,000 characters or whatever the limit is, and
Mhm.
fill it as much as possible because the more content you have on there, the more searchable your profile will be. And hopefully when that ideal client's looking for you, they find your profile. So that's
Yes.
right. So, so then once you have that, your personal profile completely filled out with those more impactful things, the photo, the cover photo and your headline, now we want to do this essentially the same thing, but over on your brand. So talk a little bit about that, Ashley.
Yes. So I would say with the brand, you can go more into like the company itself. So I personally kind of like to have a differentiator between my personal LinkedIn profile, my company LinkedIn profile. On my company, I really like to focus on like all the content is all about marketing. So being able to, like you said, have that cover photo there, have your logo as the profile photo, being able to build out that short bio that again people can see as they're going through and clicking on your profile, being able to make sure that you're posting consistently, being able to add events if you're hosting live events like this one, being able to include events for them so people can RSVP. Also making sure that you are inviting your LinkedIn connections on your personal LinkedIn account to follow your company page is really big. And lastly, as you mentioned, Beverly, making sure that the business page is actually connected to your personal LinkedIn profile. Because oftentimes people will just type in their company page when they're filling out their LinkedIn profile, but not actually select the page that will populate in that drop down thing. So you want to make sure that you select it so that way when people click on it, it actually brings them to the right page and not some blank like placeholder type of company page from there.
Yeah, you're right. And I always also give a pro tip, like as you grow, you want to make sure that your entire team um connects to it as well. So yes, you
Mm-hmm.
definitely want to do that. So here's my magic formula for this section. Definitely very similar to what you're talking about. So you want to make sure that you have a logo and a cover photo as well. I use the same cover photo, but you could certainly change that up and keep that more consistent like you have on yours. You want to make sure that your about section, your mission, your values, your unique proposition is in there. I believe your contact info is easy to find. Make sure, I don't know if you've been in there. They redid it. I was in there today poking around for something, and there's like featured posts now for the business page. So you
Mm-hmm.
can do that there. And make sure that you have those featured posts up there, the ones that are your favorite. So I have my featured posts up now that I didn't have yesterday. So again, these tools change every day. So when you go in, I'm like, oh, look at that. They redid that. Like, let's add that. Um, so they're always kind of changing. You just want to the biggest thing is just making sure everything is filled out and you have sections and you use all the featured things that you can do. So it just creates a more professional look and feel for your content for sure.
Absolutely.
The last thing is kind of like now you have your personal page, now you filled out your business page, and how does this kind of all connect to them? Do I have the right photo here? Hold on. Oh, actually, I put the wrong. Oh, and my assistant is has an opinion. I put the wrong image here. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
You can use mine as an example, but here, come here. But talk a little bit about how they're connected. Come here.
Yes, absolutely. So, as you can see here, when you are filling out the experience section of your LinkedIn profile, your personal profile, you want to make sure that you include or connect to your company page, which is what Beverly and I both chatted about making sure that when you're adding to the jobs, quote unquote, that you add to your LinkedIn profile, that you're selecting the right company page. From there, you can be able to build out the experience that you've had at your own company to share, like kind of like a highlight reel, I describe it as. So being able to give an overview of what the company is, explain any type of successes that you've been able to achieve on behalf of your clients, give an overview of what you typically do for your clients or the services that you offer, and always make sure that it's really robust and built out. Because if people were to scroll through your personal LinkedIn profile and see that it just says your company name with no other information included, they're not likely going to be enticed to click through and learn more about who you are and what you do.
And that happens all the time, actually.
Yes, it does.
So if you don't have a business page where my little ampersand is for part of my logo, that is a gray box, and it looks kind of boring. And from a marketer's perspective, I'm very visual. I love to see the logos there. It just looks so much prettier on your profile. There's so many ways you can use this. They have some featured, like your services can be featured. You can feature some different aspects on your profile. You definitely want to make sure you do that. So in this case, you want to make sure that you add your business to the experience section of the profile. You want to link directly to your business page so that people can easily navigate to it. And then you want to ensure your branding is consistent across both profiles so that it feels the same. It doesn't feel like a different business entirely.
Exactly.
It just makes it feel bigger too. I feel like more professional in that sense, right? So I think it's important that you do that, like keep that in mind when you're doing it, just to make it all feel the same. So you'll see my purple and my pink and my magical stuff everywhere, and like I have a very magical brand. And even if you look at Dash of Social, you can see like her colors are consistent, and her logo is very clearly stated, and it's a consistent experience across the board. So consistency is key for branding. As a brander, that's key. You want to make sure you use consistent colors and your logo and font styles across everything, so people begin to recognize your brand when they see it out in the wild. So,
Yes, absolutely.
yeah. So I kind of have this as the questions. Is there anything else that you wanted to add in that I think is super important for people to do for their LinkedIn profiles before we really head into questions?
Yeah, I would say this relates more to actually posting, but I think even beyond LinkedIn, a lot of people, when it comes to social media, think that they kind of just need to go in full force and have like multiple posts per week across like all the platforms and things like that. And that's the quickest way that you're going to reach social media burnout and just stop posting completely. So instead of focusing on the frequency or the number of posts, focus on consistency, which is the point that you had just mentioned, Beverly. So focus on that consistency. So even if you start with one LinkedIn post per week, if you consistently show up once per week and you feel good about it and you're seeing results from it, as you get more comfortable, you can increase to 2 times per week and then 3 times per week, whatever it else might be, until you get to a cadence that feels good for you. But always start small and then work your way up. Never kind of dive in full force, because that's the quickest way that you're just going to stop doing it completely.
I would say, to add on to that, you're right, totally right. Consistency is important. I would say the other side of it that I think is important that I see a lot of business owners not do, is they put up a lot of stuff, but they don't engage with anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And in LinkedIn and other profiles that I've worked with, other tools, your engagement is just as important as the content you put on there. So going to other people's content, sharing it, liking it, commenting, replying, just being an active human being in the space. LinkedIn really likes that and will raise your content appropriately for that when you do engage in that community that is LinkedIn. And it's such a powerful community. I mean, gosh, I follow people like Mel Robbins and like Gary Vee, and I get inspired every time I go on there. I'm like, oh, they're right. Like I feel like it's just as much for me as it is for me to connect with other people. So
Totally.
if you go in and you do it and you read and it there's more value to it than just throwing up some content, you know? So
Absolutely.
it can be a really rewarding place. I probably spend, I don't know, 10, 15, 30 minutes a day in there playing around and reading and engaging and posting and all those things. So I feel like you could spend as little as 5, you could spend as much as like 1 to 2 hours if you really got into it. But there's just so many opportunities on there, and just take the time and kind of, poke around and comment and like, and I try to like 10 to 20 new, connect with 10 to 20 new people on the regular, just people who I think might be either interesting to know, might be good for my podcast, might be good as a potential client, or I find what they're doing interesting. Like I need that for my business. So
Right.
I'm constantly looking for vendors, things like that. So I just have found it to be personally one of the best platforms for my business, what I do, and what I enjoy consuming as content.
Yes, I agree. You can't go wrong with LinkedIn.
You can't. Back in the day, we used to call, like Facebook was like the backyard barbecue. Twitter was like the newsroom,
Yeah,
and LinkedIn was the boardroom. I think some of those lines have been blurred a little bit since it first has been released, but it certainly is like a water cooler amongst so many industries. It's a pretty cool space to hang out. I highly
I
su-
agree.
I highly suggest it. Oh my gosh, we've covered a lot. I feel like in a very short amount of time, probably because I speak really, really fast, Ashley.
I do too. So the two of us, we got it covered.
um, so I know there's been a lot. I don't see any questions from Michelle. So there was a couple that I thought might be worth chatting about a little bit. Was like, how do I choose the right cover for my personal profile or my business profile? And I know that you said the logo is the best for your business profile. And we talked about the personal profile using like a high quality photo that kind of shows off your personality. Is there
Mhm.
anything else that you think would be super important as far as choosing a cover photo or a photo in general for your profile?
Yeah. So I like what you mentioned in terms of the cover photos that you use to swap out as you have new things that you're launching or offering, or just something new that you want to drive people to. I think that's a great idea. And then I also think if you don't want to swap things out, if you want to just keep something more static or standard, you can do something similar to what I have, which is just
Mhm.
describing the services that I offer, and then also including logos of all the places that I've been featured to kind of help build that credibility and trust. But regardless of what you choose, always making sure that, like Beverly mentioned with your branding, that it has the fonts that you use, that it has your brand colors, that it has your logos, that it's completely cohesive and in line with everything else that you're doing online. So that way there's that consistency.
You had mentioned earlier, Ashley, about posting, like being consistent, and I have
Hmm.
seen varied suggestions on frequency, depending on size and industry and different things. But what is a good frequency? Is it 3 posts a week? Is it like, what would you recommend for somebody who's going from freelance to like a growth, like a business side of things?
Yeah, I would say I find that 2 to 3 times per week is usually my sweet spot, and I always find that doing it first thing in the morning, like 8:30 AM, tends
Mhm.
to get the most traction for me. Because I know for me personally, like, first thing I do when I sit down at my desk is, like, comb through all my business, social media profiles and look at my notifications and see what people are doing, and then I dive in and start my day.
Yep.
So I find that I tend to get more traction there when people are likely doing the same thing. But I think it also probably entails some testing. So being able to maybe test like different days of the week that you could
Yeah.
post, or test different times of the day that you could post, to see if one might drive more than the other. And then you can kind of make an educated guess from there.
We could do a whole power hour, probably a power day on types of posts you can put on LinkedIn.
Yes.
All the different types of posts. I love the carousel posts. I love the longer content posts, the video posts. Like, there's so many interesting types of posting on LinkedIn. My biggest suggestion is if there's content that you're consuming that you really enjoy, try those types of content. Like,
Yeah.
don't overthink it. Use that as kind of like a formula. Try to write something like that for yourself using the similar thing. If it's got a lot of engagement and reach, then like try it for yourself and see and test, and what works, do more of it. Like, what doesn't work, do less of it. Like, just it can be very organic in just that simple terms, like not to overthink it, keeping it simple, less complicated, and less time for yourself. And again, chat GPT can be your friend in some of this too, especially when you're writing some of your cover, like your profile stuff. Once you have your
Exactly.
down, it can help you really create that in a professional way. What is the biggest tip, or maybe it's like what's your favorite thing about LinkedIn? Like the reason why you love it. Like the one thing that is like, oh my gosh, this is like, maybe it's like it's giving you an opportunity, maybe it's giving you something that you didn't expect or you met. What is the one thing? If you have two things, it's okay too.
I would say honestly to what you mentioned about your point about just being able to send connection requests. I mean, that's one of the things that I value the most about LinkedIn is that I've been able to connect with some really great people through the platform. So whether it's like you mentioned as well, like potential clients or people that you'd really like to work with, or even if it's other industry partners that I can refer clients to, I
Yes.
really loved being able to build a community there and just have like a really curated feed of types of content that I really enjoy seeing. And so through a connection that I had on LinkedIn, that's actually how I was presented with the opportunity to do my TED Talk back in 2019. Someone had reached out to me on LinkedIn and invited me to be a speaker. And so it goes to show that like when you put in the work
Yep.
to build a solid list of connections and post consistently and post really engaging and interesting content,
Yep.
it can do so much for you. And along with that, I'd say that what I really enjoy about LinkedIn, like my personal profile, is that I feel like I give myself more creative freedom with my content. I mean, like on the Dash of Social company page, I tend to stick mainly to marketing, but using my own personal profile, I like to dive more into entrepreneurship topics overall, or
Yeah.
like even talk about my interests and my hobbies, because you
Agreed.
really want to talk about the things that will connect you to other people, that other people can relate to, and just show who you are as a human. Because at the end of the day, people do business with people, and being able to use your content to show who you are as a human can really make an impact.
Yeah, agreed. Completely agreed. So I've had so many unique opportunities. I've been asked to write for Business Week, like an article for Business Week because of
Very cool.
LinkedIn. I was asked at the time, I was doing marketing, but I was doing so much with social. I was doing some talks around town and things like that when social kind of it began its to rear its ugly head. How businesses and organizations could use it, specifically LinkedIn and different things. And at the time, this is a long time ago. Gosh, I'm going to date myself. I was in my master's program, and I was doing creative memories, like scrapbooking. And because I was a creative memories consultant and I was in this space, Creative Memories Corporate flew me in to give a talk to their marketing team about how to use social media for the company. Now, this was, gosh, 2004, like a long time ago, 20 years ago. But it's you'd be surprised, like you said, the authority and the niche you can create for yourself, and the opportunities that just may come from it very organically. But I've attended some events, and some of those people that were on some of those events, those virtual events, have become really strong collaborators now. Like you
Yeah.
can, and they're all over the country and all over the world. You can connect with people anywhere and create those relationships and partnerships if you're human and you show up and you're consistent and also a little persistent. you can you can really establish yourself in such a really cool way that can set yourself apart. That is one thing I think would be probably the most powerful thing you could do, is really understand who your niche is and who you serve and how you serve them, so that your messaging really speaks to them, so that
Yeah.
it connects and resonates on the strongest level, so that those opportunities come to you in the best way, that they're specifically for you and what your background is because of what you talk about and what you share and where you comment and things like that. So be true to you, be true to who you serve in that space.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that kind of covers all the things. Ashley, thank you so much for being the first person to partner with me on the Power Hour concept. I think it went pretty well considering it was our first go around.
I think
Um,
so too. This was great.
it was fun. It was nice to get to know you a little bit better. Here is that awesome download that you'll want to check out. It has a checklist of things that you should make sure you update with all those social media magical, the LinkedIn magical formulas that we shared. Super easy to download. You can scan the QR code, and then I think Michelle is going to put the link in as well into the comments, so you can just directly link as well if you're watching on your mobile device or something and can't click on the QR code. So once that you download that, the next steps, your mission, if you choose to accept it today after our Power Hour, is to use one of the formulas we shared today to update your profile. Just do one thing, and maybe it's one thing tomorrow, and one thing the next day, or one thing a week. Whatever you can handle, do those things. If you post on LinkedIn this week, tag us, tag Ashley, tag myself. We'd love to cheer you on and to engage with your posts and maybe help boost some of your content. We are all about it. I'm here for it. I know Ashley is too. And
Of
if you're
course.
ready to take things even further for your brand or marketing or for your social media and content and explore how we can help you do that, please reach out to us and we'd be happy to have a chat and see if we're a good fit. Anything else, Ashley, before we go?
You nailed it. And then just to reiterate, Michelle had linked all of our profiles in the comments, which is amazing. So click through, connect with us. And like Beverly said, we're happy to cheer you on and support you with your content.
Yes, for sure. So thank you all for joining us today. And remember, the magic is already in you, and LinkedIn is just one tool to help you share it with the world. So until our next Partner Power Hour, we'll see you then. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.